That's the biggest threat to democracy ever. Ah!
As you can tell from that clip, Donald Trump Jr. is unraveling, really losing his mind just as much as his dad is. And it's because of this week, the DNC absolutely shaking up the entire Trump campaign, and they really just can't handle it because, as is expected with any candidates convention, Kamala Harris is seeing yet again another bump in the polls, surging in every metric and fundraising enthusiasm and, of course, polling. And that's really driving Donald Trump crazy because he was already behind, and this campaign is seemingly starting to feel a little out of reach for Donald Trump. And of course, we want to continue to run and fight and work like we are 5 points behind, not 5 points ahead. But Donald Trump clearly feels like he is behind, and so does Don Jr. And that's why, much like his dad, it's like father, like son, he is unraveling. And we saw that in his podcast today, and we're going to continue to check that out. It was one of the stranger episodes of Donald Trump Jr.'s podcast in which he was really unhinged and unraveled. It's crazy to say that it's getting even worse for these two, but we will revisit that clip and a couple others that just show how far gone he is. But before we do that, if I could quickly ask you to hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. It really goes a long way in supporting the channel and means the world to me. Now let's get into the rest of this crazy podcast from Don Jr.
What else is going on at the DNC? It's a convention about the hatred of one man. They don't have any ideas to fix the economy. They don't even address the problems. During the first night of the DNC, for example, they said the word Trump 147 times. But strangely enough, they said inflation just 3 times and crime just 6 times. They don't want to talk about their policies because their policies are trash. They don't want to talk about inflation because they caused it. They don't want to talk about crime because they wanted to defund the police and are soft on crime and criminals and illegals.
To say that Kamala Harris and Democrats are running away from their record or don't want to talk about their agenda and their policy is absolutely, it's hilarious. Donald Trump's own agenda, Project 2025, is something that he has repeatedly said recently, of course, throughout this entire campaign, but recently, that he doesn't know anything about. It is the blueprint for what a second Trump term would look like, and Donald Trump is pretending that it doesn't exist, even though all of his staffers worked with or work for Project 2025. You just can't run away from that, Donald. And also, on the matter of policy, we've seen Donald Trump try to give policy speeches about, as he says, economy. Not the economy. Donald Trump talks about economy. It's a mess from Donald Trump, and the complete contrast is seen in Kamala Harris, who is delivering real policy and talking about the successes of the Biden-Harris policy that has gotten us to a place where the economy is booming, where we were almost in a recession under Donald Trump because of his mismanaging of the COVID-19 pandemic. And yet, not only did President Biden and Vice President Harris recover the economy, but now it is booming. And at the end of that clip, we saw Don Jr. say that Democrats are soft on crime. Yeah, Don, I don't think you want to bring this argument up again. I don't think you want to remind the American people, as you seem to want to do every day, of your dad's criminality. But if you must, continue. And speaking of criminality, Don Jr. has a new proposal for what the FEC should be doing with their time, and it's just absolutely unhinged what he said in this clip.
Do you think that she should get that much positive coverage while my father, who's willing to go out there, who actually have policies that work, they've worked in the past, they will work again, gets 89% negative coverage? Shouldn't they be looking at the mainstream media and maybe, I don't know, have the Federal Election Commission go after them for an in-kind contribution to the Democrat Party? That's trillions of dollars of free advertising, pretending the Democrats are doing a great job. The Democrats are relying solely on good media coverage and so-called vibes and cheap applause lines, right? It's a joyful campaign, Kamala Harris. It's one filled with joy. I don't see a lot of joy.
He is so upset that Kamala Harris's inspiring and joyful campaign, which he clearly got mad at the end there. We see Don Jr. yelling about the joy in Kamala Harris's campaign. Kind of shows where his heart is at there. Don Jr. may need a hug. It's certainly not going to come from his dad, but we don't need to cover all that. But it's so funny that they're just being blatant with it, that Don Jr. is giving away the game him and his father, they want to go after media outlets that don't heap positive coverage and praise onto Donald Trump. That is their entire goal. They have explicitly said that they want to use the DOJ to prosecute media and reporters and any outlets that aren't giving them positive coverage all the time. They want every news outlet to be like Fox, to be a complete propaganda outlet for them. And it's so funny that Donald Trump is driven crazy by these positive, not only segments and stories about Kamala Harris, but the incredible ratings and attention and really crowd sizes that she gets. Because although some of those numbers may seem insignificant sometimes, what is significant is the effect that they have on Donald Trump and absolutely driving him crazy, because it distracts him from the focus of his campaign, which is bad policy. So I guess either way he's losing, but it really just starts to reveal how much he is unraveling, how crazed he is. And that is great for Kamala Harris because, again, it shows voters who Donald Trump is and why he can never be president again. And we were talking about policy a little bit earlier. And of course, Donald Trump's failed policy is a reason that he can't be president. But Kamala Harris's successful policy and her successful agenda is a reason why she should. And Don Jr. tried to attack that in this clip, and we're going to debunk it right after.
What about the economy? Well, Kamala Harris wants to start a second Great Depression. She's supporting a proposal to tax unrealized gains. Okay, think about it. Unrealized gains. You buy a house for $100,000, you hold on to it for 30 years, it's now worth $1 million. Okay? 30 years is a long time. Unrealized gains is the $900,000, but you don't have any cash to pay it off. Okay? You don't have any cash to pay it off. You just still own the house that you live in. But now she wants to tax the $900,000 that it went up, even though you didn't sell it, even if you have no way of paying it.
So this is a narrative that I've seen pushed by a lot of conservatives lately, that Kamala Harris is going after unrealized gains, and that should be so scary for everyday Americans, when that is just completely a lie. And not only is it a lie, but it shows who Donald Trump and the rest of his stooges in MAGA are fighting for. This policy would only go after the unrealized gains of the mega ultra wealthy. And Axios did a great job on some reporting that breaks down this policy, and I want to get into it so we can debunk Don Jr. These unrealized gains taxes that Kamala Harris is proposing would only apply to individuals with at least $100 million in wealth who do not pay at least a 25% tax rate on their income, inclusive of unrealized capital gains. Payments can be spread out over subsequent years. Within that 100 million club, you'd only pay taxes on unrealized capital gains if at least 80% of your wealth is in tradable assets, not shares of private startups or real estate. One caveat for this illiquid group is that there would be a deferred tax of up to 10% on unrealized capital gains upon exit. So an absolute lie from Don Jr. there, and more importantly, this tax would raise over $500 billion over 10 years, taxing the ultra-wealthy, making sure that they are paying their fair share and can't use their giant net worths to exploit the tax system through loopholes that allow them to not pay their fair share. And this has no effect on anyone who owns a home unless that home is worth tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. So it really just shows who Don Jr. and Donald Trump, of course, and the rest of the MAGA movement are looking out for. It's the wealthy. It's not even just the wealthy. It is the ultra wealthy, those with $100 million or more. I don't think that that's the everyday American, Don. Maybe your friends, maybe Donald Trump's ultra wealthy friends, but yeah, those aren't the people that we're really worried about. And it's so funny that these are the attacks that Don Jr. is making because, again, it just points out the flaws in Donald Trump's campaign. And one of those attacks was just ridiculous right here.
Literally got on a stage and said, if Donald Trump gets elected, he may weaponize the DOJ against his political rivals. He may actually have the FBI come knocking on their doors. Trump may actually do that. That's the biggest threat to democracy ever. They said that with a straight face. Honestly, guys, I'm not even sure if they know. I don't even know if they know what's happening. I don't even know that they know that they've literally been doing it. Who's weaponized the DOJ more than the Harris-Biden administration? The FBI's come knocking on our door. A lot of conservatives have gotten that knock, not a lot of liberals.
If you're so afraid of being prosecuted, maybe you could try not breaking the law. Seems like a great idea. Maybe we try that one out. I know it kind of goes against the Trump way, but maybe if you do it different this time, maybe if you don't attack democracy, hold classified documents, commit business fraud, interfere with elections, yeah, then you wouldn't have to worry about going to jail. But I don't think they're going to do that. And so we're going to keep calling them out on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments so I can thank you for your support. And if you want to take that support one step further, you can click that join button, become a monthly member of the show. The support goes a long way. As a college student, it really means the world to me. And until next time, I'll see you soon.